Alright, so what is up everybody? So today I've actually got something pretty special. You might not consider it special depending on what part of the fan base you are. But today I've got my hands on an actual power supply for all my electronic stuff because I do a lot of electrical design, for those of you who don't know. So I've been using a battery. I've been using a 3.7 volt lithium ion battery for literally every one of my builds outside of the Arduino, which I usually use USB to power it up. Alright, so what we got here is a good old power supply. Got the multimeter to test its accuracy. Good one. Anyway, so I've already kind of did a bit of opening up in the box. So you have a little manual. It's an actual book this time. This is based on the, this is actually a common Chinese design known as the MS305. 305 being indicative of, if we look on the side of the box, that it is a 30 volt at 5 amp. So that means we can set our voltage to 30 volts at max, and then we can set our current to a maximum of 5 amps. Right down this side we have our good old beefy US 3-prong plug. You know, plug this thing in. And then we have some kind of cheapy little things. So these end as alligator clips. I don't know if I can get the camera to focus in on it. Yeah. So they're alligator clips, and on the other end is, surprisingly, gold-plated banana plugs. That's actually quite surprising for this kind of stuff. But anyway, and then you got the thing itself. So let's just get it out of here. So first impressions on this one. If we just take it out of the plastic, this good old cellophane. Yep, and it says exactly what it is. Yeah. Let me just put up the. Let me just get it all zoomed in and stuff. So it's the Haofist. I don't know how to pronounce that. DC power supply, MS305D. You have your two knobs here for your. You have your four knobs for current and voltage and all those things. Little binding posts. Got the latching type button, all pretty nice. Yeah, so before we do go into using it, let's just take a small little peek inside. Alright, time to take a good old look on the inside. So what we have here is some pretty simple circuitry. So right around here is our actual power supply stuff on it. There is a talking point that I wanted to make, and this is why I usually open up these things, because there's some components that you might eventually need to replace very kind of oftenly sometimes, because how these things are designed. This is obviously a very Chinese design, so I don't really trust these electrolytic capacitors in here. So every so often, if anything breaks in here, it's probably going to be the capacitor. So always make sure that if anything goes wrong, again, make sure to replace the caps. But anyway, let's get a good old side. Alright, so now we've got a good old side view of it. So this way you can actually see what it's got in it. So you've got the power supply. Let me just focus this for 1 sec, and now you've got all this stuff. Right around here is let me just zoom in on it. Alright, I'm already zoomed in. Is your input from the actual mains outlet. This one has got a fuse on it, so this way it's okay. You got this big beefy latching button thing here. This power button's just a big latching one, and and we've got two little tiny, I'd say microcontrollers on there to control the 7-segment displays over on the front of it. And then we have two daughter boards, something that I wasn't really expecting, actually 3 daughter boards for it. So we have this board for the 7-segment displays, this big blue one right here. And then we have these little tiny right angle ones for all the potentiometers and variable resistors. And then tucked away over in that corner is the outputs for the banana plugs. Yeah, so pretty good actually. Yeah. So, yeah, let's power it up and get it all going. So the main reason I bought this thing, outside of the fact that I use batteries for most of my stuff, I needed a proper way to ground myself, because although I have the ESD bands and all the proper stuff, and I could probably build a PC if I had stuff like the cache and stuff, the issue was that I was wearing it wrong. In fact, I think I even showed how wrong I was wearing it in the video where I repaired the Mac. I didn't talk about it, but I noticed that kind of shortly afterwards, so having some kind of path to ground is important, because I was putting it to the mic stand, which actually has no real resistance, or actually has no real conductivity, so it's practically useless, actually. So yeah, it's actually good to have one of these things in order to deal with that. As for the accuracy, it is pretty good at being accurate. When I compared it against the multimeter, it actually came out pretty good, and I actually kind of had a bit of a liking for it. It does the job, and that's all I really got to say about it, because it's just a bit basic. But I will say it is a good deal for the price. I wasn't expecting total perfection. I mean, you do have to be a bit careful in these areas, but anyway, yeah. So it's a pretty good thing for the price, and yeah, that's gonna be it for today's video, and bye.